Hello again, J Spot peeps, and welcome back to my humble abode. And thank you again for taking some of your valuable time to spend with me here in the J Spot. Make sure you give us a thumbs up, like, drop a comment, and subscribe. We still want to get our subscriptions up to 100 by the end of the month. Bucking the tiger's odds is a phrase that means going against what is expected. It often refers to a situation where someone achieves something despite the odds being stacked against them. It's used metaphorically to describe overcoming challenges and obstacles in order to achieve success. And sometimes I felt like that applied to me. I first heard that term in the movie Tombstone. Val Kilmer, who played Doc Holliday, said it to someone, bucking the tiger's odds. He was a notorious gambler, so it was apropos for him to use that phrase. But I have recognized that overcoming obstacles and achieving things despite the odds being stacked against you is almost my life story. As I said earlier in my other videos, describe the things that how I came into this life, the things that's happened to me, you know, violent crime, victim of a violent crime. And I'm not crying and I'm not playing the violin that you can't see, an invisible violin. But I will admit that, before I came to where I am in my head now, or have been for the last 10 or 15 years, there were times when I was, I couldn't understand why everything was happening to me like it was. And I struggled to deal with it in many respects. But there were people around me who noticed that I always came through. My brother's father-in-law used to say to me, "Jay, you're the luckiest man I know. I don't care what happened to you. You always come up smelling like a rose." And my father used to say that to me. He called me Bird. Bird, you're just like your mother. I could drop you from the tallest building and you still land on your feet. Yeah, that might be well and good for someone to observe, but it sure as heck wasn't feeling good to me when I was being dropped from that building. It wasn't feeling good when I had to fight to come up smelling like a rose. But I understood, as I said, over the last few years, decade and a half, maybe even longer, probably since 2002. So let's go back 23 years, that in order for me to live my purpose, I had to endure these struggles. Again, folks, like I say, it's about the struggle. It may not feel good, but just like when you go to the gym, you can't expect to get a six pack of abs if you're sitting at the juice bar all day talking to the receptionist. You're going to have to go in there and burn some daggone, get some pain by burning your stomach and your abs. No pain, no gain. And the beauty of it all is because there's a discipline required in order for you to get or live or recognize or walk into your purpose, or you won't give that up so easily. You'll appreciate it, and you will begin to understand why it was necessary, because your strength will matter in that moment. Your discipline will matter in that moment, because you have learned to cope with rejection and failure and tragedy and heartache. It's just like in the movie Karate Kid, which I've never seen, but I do understand the wax on, wax off portion of the movie. As I tell clients, he was preparing the young man to be able to go right into a defense mode if he was ever attacked. Because when you're attacked and the enemy counts coup on you, which was the game that Indians used to play, warrior Indians used to play, and they would sneak up on their enemy and touch them with a stick or a feather, or sometimes even capture them. If they could do that without being captured themselves being captured, they would go back to their tribe and be celebrated as heroes. And they would count coup on a coup stick. Because the greatest weapon in the world is the element of surprise. So when life points its finger at people like you and me, we know what to do right away. We don't have to think through it because we go right into defense mode because we've been waxing on, waxing off for most of our lives. We've been being dropped from buildings for most of our lives. We've had to learn how to come up smelling out like a rose out of the manure of life, despite the odds being stacked against us. See, again, it's the struggle. It's the purpose found within the struggle. It's the strength found within the struggle. It's the discipline that is formulated within the struggle. You get a six-pack of discipline from the struggle, from the pain. And after a while, you welcome it. You welcome it because you know if you sit on the couch of life and you don't use that purpose, you're going to have to go back to the gym again and go through all of that all over again if you're lucky enough to survive. Remember, one of the videos I told you about, a selfish man is like a seedless grape. Once he's gone, there's no evidence that he ever existed. And in the game of life, sometimes we have to buck the tiger's odds. Sometimes we have to fold a good hand in order to allow someone, like we're sitting there playing 5-card stud, and the man in front of us, next to us, we fold our hand in order for him to win. Not that we're cheating, because we don't know. But we understand, just like we do in life, in real life, that sometimes our right of way begins when someone else's ends, or their right of way begins when ours ends. And sometimes you have to give up your right of way in order to let someone else pass. And you have to be strong and to be able to do that. You have to be disciplined in your spirit and in your flesh to be able to do that. You have to understand that your struggle is like the butterfly. If you don't struggle to get out of that cocoon, you will never fly. And if you don't ever fly into your purpose, then you are not going to pollinate someone else's life. So remember, folks, it's the tiger's odds. Buck the tiger's odds. And don't curse the struggle, because your purpose is found within that struggle. Your purpose is manifested in that struggle. Your discipline is found within that struggle. Thanks again for joining me here in the J Spot. Make sure you give us a like. Drop a comment if you have something to say. Ask me a question. Let's talk. And remember, there's more to come. We haven't even scratched the surface. So join me next time to see what's going on in the J Spot. In the meantime, thanks again for your valuable time. Peace. The tiger's odds. I've played the game. I've rolled the dice. Bet on future plans. Crapped out more than once or twice. Folded many a good hand. I've played roulette. I've spun the wheel. Never bet on red. Always gambled how I'd feel. Wouldn't quit when I was ahead. I've been cavalier. I've overspent. Stayed too long at the table. Lent to those I should not have lent, even when I wasn't able. Yes, in my life I've some regrets that caused me pain and sorrow, but none so painful as when I bet the odds against tomorrow.